Welcome to Season 2 of the Happiness Mama podcast, where mindful mamas talk about consciously creating our happiest lives. I'm your host, Heather Ash, mama of two sweet girls, blogger and coach at happinessmama.com. In Season 2, we're focusing on self-care, which is an essential ingredient for being happy. I hope you enjoy this season as I talk to creative entrepreneurs and other mamas just like you about the relationship between self-care, self-love, and happiness. Thank you for listening, and remember, you deserve happiness. Hey there, welcome to the Happiness Mama podcast, and I'm Heather Ash, your host. This is the first episode of 2017, and guess what? It's episode 17, so that is totally perfect. I hope that you had a wonderful holiday season, and I hope that you were able to take a big break like I did. I just had a wonderful time getting off of social media and really taking some time just to think and relax and recover from going, doing. And I highly recommend it. Actually, in this podcast, I'm going to talk about an idea that I got from Tim Ferriss, and something else he talks about is how important it is to have recovery periods in your life, that you really need to build in time for recovery. And another word for recovery is breaks, just having a break. And that is something I strongly believe in. It's part of the self-care philosophy that I believe in, which is, and part of that is stillness and just having some time to rest and be still. And just like in exercise, we need to balance times of, like, say, weightlifting and working out with times of rest so that we can give our bodies time to actually grow, give time, allow our muscles to grow and adapt, and allow our bodies to do the work of recovering and sort of assimilating, what we've just been putting into place. I hope that you had a wonderful break, and I hope that whether or not you did, that you will really make a point in your life to build in times of recovery, times of real breaks, not just breaks from doing, but even breaks from thinking about, the stuff that you normally need to think about, like your work or whatever. All right, so moving on. Didn't really totally mean to get into that, but I do think it's important. So anyway, part of my break was, since it was over the New Year time, was to really look back on the year before and think about how it went and celebrate the wonderful things that happened, think about what I learned and how I grew and, did I live into my goals? What desires did I make come true? Which ones did I not, and why? Just really do a full reflection on the year before. And I've been doing this for years and I love it, and I always want to do it. And so that was all good. I went through my Leone workbook that I used to write down a lot of my goals, and I went through some journals and just reflected on the year. Well, not long ago, just a few days ago, I was listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts for sure. It's so good, and I highly recommend it. And he was talking about how he does a year in review every year. And in this particular episode, he was talking about just a lot of different things that he does to do his year-end review. And I really love that episode because there were actually a lot of tools and exercises that I had not heard before, and that I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. I totally have to implement that. I have to try it. I have to do it. And so one of them was applying the 80-20 principle, or the Pareto principle, to your life and really looking at your life through that lens. In case you don't know, the Pareto principle, or 80-20 principle, is this idea that 80% of our results come from 20% of our actions or input. And in the context of looking at our lives, we think about how 80% of our good feelings in our life come from like 20% of our actions or what happens or what we do. And also that 80% of our bad feelings come from 20% of what we do. Okay, so here's what you do. If you do journal, and or if you have a goal planner workbook that you use or an agenda, get everything out. Get everything out that you use. You might just have a calendar. Whatever you have where you have records or any notes or journaling that you've done from the year before, take it out. So you just systematically go through, from day 1 of January 2016, just go through it and notice your happiest, best feelings and make note of, what brought you those feelings. What did you do that brought you those feelings, or what were you doing? At the same time, you also make note of when did you feel the worst and what brought you those feelings. So number 1, what led to my best feelings? And number 2, what resulted in my worst feelings? So go through your whole year and make a list of those things that led to your very best and your most miserable feelings. So you may find some surprises. You may remember some things that you'd forgotten that really brought you so much joy that you just haven't thought about lately. Allow yourself to notice patterns, things that really bring you joy and other good feelings. And what made you miserable. One thing I love about this exercise is that this is based on real data. This is based on your actual journals or your, where you wrote down things and, that happened, or where you're actually going through day by day or week by week or with whatever you have, so that you don't forget anything, so that you really notice over the course of a whole year what is bringing you, or what did bring you the very best feelings, and what did really bring you down over and over again. I thought I would share with you some of the things that brought me the most good feelings. So I really have kind of a big list, but some of them really could be combined together. So one of them is being in nature, being outside, and also really walking outside, just, moving around outside, although just sitting is nice too. But I love the beauty of nature, and I just love being outside. Another is adventures, going on adventures, such as when I took my girls to an apple orchard in North Georgia, which we like to do every year. And that particular trip turned into more of an adventure than I'd really planned on, when we kind of got lost and ended up at a different apple orchard than we had planned. But it was so fun, and it actually turned out for the best. So isn't that the way it goes, You don't always get what you wanted or planned for, but it turns out to be 1,000 times better than what you had intended. I love that. And it's just fun. And I love adventure. I love trying new things and going new places. So another was real connection with my family and with my friends. So really, spending that quality time together where we're really talking, connecting, and paying attention to each other. And another was making progress on my goals. And kind of along with that is, totally right along with that is living into my values. And honestly, a lot of these others will and do tie into that. Really, living into my values brings me the most joy overall, So some of the goals that I made big progress on that I was so happy, and it's like they bring joy on so many levels, like partly because I met my goals, but also because of what they bring me in themselves. And what I'm talking about here is one of my goals was to really have a consistent meditation practice and, try to do it every single day. And I really made great strides in that. And so, I felt great that both that I met my goal, and also meditation itself brings me such joy, such good feelings. And it also bears fruit, not, when I'm not meditating, by making me more mindful and just happier in general. So, and then another goal that I had that I did make progress on was losing some weight. And I've been doing the slow carb diet, which is actually Tim Ferriss's diet. This is not not really meant to be like a totally Tim podcast, but anyway, I have definitely, hey, I've been reading his book too. It's really good. But, so I've been losing some weight, which some lingering baby weight, and I'm just thrilled. It's just rewarding to make progress. And it's also just rewarding because actually being on this diet makes me feel good physically. And when we feel good physically, we feel good mentally. So once again, it's like all of these different layers and reasons why this thing that makes me feel good makes me feel good. So I love that. Another source of good feelings for me has been and is listening to good podcasts and reading good books. I love being inspired and I love getting new ideas that I can, try to take action on. And I just love learning. So for those reasons, I love listening to good podcasts and reading good books. Another one is having a long, relaxed morning time for myself. Time to meditate and journal and really have a relaxed morning routine. Like I can do my morning routine in a small amount of time if I have to. And I do oftentimes, depending on, how early I wake up or what kind of interruptions I have from my little ones. But it is true that I love having a relaxed, extended morning time for myself. And, I kind of forgot to write this, or I did forget this. Something else I need to make note of is I really enjoy time to myself. Just, totally alone time. I've been learning that I am such an introvert, even though I love connecting and real connection with other human beings. I just do very, very much need some alone time too. And when you have small children, that can be difficult to find sometimes, so it becomes extra precious when you do get it. So I'm sure that, that morning time really is part of that, having time to myself. I mean, really time alone for myself to think and all. Another one, which I touched on already, I think a little bit maybe, is exercise. And I always feel awesome when I exercise. I enjoy it in the moment, but I also just really enjoy how good it makes me feel afterwards. Some other ones are publishing a podcast episode. That makes me feel so awesome, probably because they are a lot of work and take a lot of time. But I'm always so thrilled to actually, it's almost like giving birth to a baby. It's like, here comes another one and it's so awesome. And, and I hope it helps people and, makes other people's lives better too. So one of my biggest ones is feeling like I have done a good job parenting. One of my hugest goals, is to be a good mother. And sometimes it's challenging. So, when I feel like I've done well, or, I've been patient when when it is so hard to be patient, then I feel good. I feel really good. Or if I just do something that feels like, yeah, yay, I did a good job, I feel great. Another one is coaching, teaching, and encouraging women in various groups last year and through one-on-one coaching. I felt totally awesome, in and after those experiences, and I want to do more. And then another one is when I'm present and mindful, when I'm just accepting what is and not thrashing against that. That makes me feel really good. And another huge one, which I remind my girls of pretty frequently, it seems, is when my daughters are loving each other and being kind to each other. That just makes me so, so happy. So those are, the big ones that have brought me and do bring me such joy. And so after you've gone through and you've made notes on all of these actions that have brought you the most good feelings and the most miserable feelings. So now that you've done this, you've gone through, you've noticed what things are bringing you the most joy and what things are causing you the most pain. Then you ask yourself, how can I design my life this year to maximize the good feelings and minimize the bad? What can I do more of to bring more joy to my life? And what do I need to change or release or do in order to not experience the negative feelings? Once you're really aware of where most of your good feelings are coming from, then you can consciously take steps to do more of that. And you can do less of whatever has made you the most miserable. It's so powerful to see clearly the actions or situations that have led to different outcomes in your life. I found this really, really powerful for me, and I hope that you do too. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you would like to say hi to me on Twitter, that would be so fun. My Twitter handle is _happinessmama. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to let me know if there's something special you want me to talk about on the podcast. And you can get the show notes for this episode and the other episodes at my website. And for this episode, go to happinessmama.com/17. I am wishing you your happiest, best year ever in 2017. And much love to you. Big hugs from me to you. Thank you so much for listening in 2016 and now in 2017. And until next time, remember, you deserve happiness.